We can go ahead and start. I'll call the roll.
Okay, very good. I'll turn my microphone on here first. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Temecula Planning Commission. Commissioner Ruiz will lead us in a flag salute. Please join him.
Yes, thank you. If you'd please join me by standing and facing the flag, placing your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know where Commissioner Telesio went, but maybe somebody could go check.
You coming?
Here he comes.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's not him.
I didn't see him scoot out of here.
Well, why don't we start a slow roll call.
Commissioner Hagel.
I think I'm here.
Commissioner Telesio. Let the record reflect, he is here. Commissioner Ruiz.
Here.
Commissioner Turley Trejo.
Here.
Chairperson Watts.
Here. Thank you very much. And with that, we will talk about public comments. Do we have any public comments tonight?
We have none.
Okay. With that, I will skip the public comment section and move to consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the Planning Commission request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. And I did not get any requests to have anything removed, so on the consent calendar are minutes from our October 20th, 21st meeting and Director's Hearing Summary Report.
I
Those
so
are
moved the minutes.
Good motion by Commissioner Turley-Trejo, second by?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ruiz. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And that's a 5-0 vote. Consent calendar is adopted. Now move to the business portion of the meeting. Receive update regarding the Quality of Life Master Plan and a public engagement plan. Staff presentation.
Good evening,
Peters.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This is just a quick update on the status of the Quality of Life Master Plan update and our public engagement plan. I've been going to all of the different boards and commissions to keep them updated, and this is the update. So our strategy is for the Quality of Life Master Plan to serve as the foundation for the general plan. The Quality of Life Master Plan contains the city's 6 core values. They're identified here. They include a healthy and livable city, economic prosperity, a safe and prepared community, a sustainable city, transportation mobility and connectivity, and an accountable and responsive city government. And with the Quality of Life Master Plan serving as the foundation for the general plan, the strategy is to organize the general plan, the 9 state mandated elements that goes into a general plan. Those would be organized underneath the 6 core values, ensuring consistency between the 2 documents. This is a graphic of our general plan update process and timeline. I'm not going to go into all the detail on this, but basically what we've done is we've broken down a 5-year process into 4 main phases, and we've completed phase 1. We took the housing element and the public safety element to the city council. Well, you saw those in, I think, September, and then it went to the city council in October. And then we prepared VMT guidelines for CEQA analysis for traffic analysis. And that's all complete, and we're moving into phase 2. And the main work task associated with phase 2 is the Quality of Life Master Plan update. And then once that's complete, we'll move into phase 3, which consists of a couple of different exercises, one of them being a fiscal land use study, and then a SWOC analysis, which is a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges analysis. So what we learned from the Quality of Life Master Plan update process. We'll consider that as we move forward in updating the general plan, and then we'll go out for RFP and hire a firm to do the general plan and the EIR. The City Council established a Blue Ribbon Committee, or BRC, to work on the Quality of Life Master Plan. And the BRC includes the General Plan Update Subcommittee, consisting of Mayor Edwards and Mayor Pro Tem Ron, one rep from each of the commissions and boards, and the Planning Commissioner rep is Commissioner Turley Trejo, and then 16 at-large members. And some of the representing interests of the at-large members include the Bike Temecula Valley Coalition, representation from Special Needs Community, Interfaith Council, the School District, MSJC, the hospital, VTV in the Chamber, Camp Pendleton, local businesses, Habitat for Humanity, and SWAG, which is Social Work Action Group, who works with our HOT team and the homeless outreach. So that's not an all-inclusive list. There's a lot of variety and interests represented on the BRC. We've had 2 meetings so far. The first one was in August. That was more of an introductory meeting. And then our last meeting in October, we went over 2 of the core values, a healthy and livable city and economic prosperity. And then our next meeting is tomorrow night. We're going to be going over 3 of the core values. It's probably our biggest meeting so far, and that meeting's tomorrow. And what we've done to promote the update and inform the community is we have a website dedicated to the Quality of Life Master Plan. We've branded the effort, so when you see Quality of Life Master Plan information on social media, you'll see that brand, that logo that's in the center. The document is on the website. All of the meetings are open to the public. They're recorded and they're on YouTube probably within 48 hours after the meeting, so you can go back and watch them. The community survey results that inform our process associated with the Quality of Life Master Plan, that information, those presentations to the City Council are on there. There's a feedback button. You can sign up for email notifications, and then it says questionnaire coming soon, but we actually launched the questionnaire on Saturday, and we're going to be doing a social media push on that questionnaire, and our goal is to have, we want to beat the housing element and that survey. We want to have more respondents than what we got there, which was a lot. I think it was close to 1,000. And our public engagement plan includes 4 community engagement goals. The first being to facilitate a community-driven approach to update the QLMP. We want to solicit input from stakeholders across age groups, cultures, and interests. We want to focus on connecting with hard-to-reach groups that have not traditionally participated in the planning process. And then we want to provide a comprehensive and transparent planning process. And phase 1 of our community engagement, I talked about the project branding and the website. We're going to do an informational video and social media posts, the community questionnaire, pop-up activities. We had our first pop-up event on Saturday at the farmers market, and I'll talk a little bit about that. We have 2 community workshops planned, one virtual. Through COVID, we learned that we can get more involvement through a virtual workshop, so we're going to do one virtual and another in person. We're doing the commission and board presentations, and we'll continue to do this throughout the process. We'll continue to check in and provide information. And then we're going to do a high school curriculum module. I think it was our first meeting, we got some feedback that one of the groups we really want to engage are high school students. They're the next generation. So we're going to work with the local school districts, private schools, charter schools, and try to create an assignment where students can meet, participate, discuss, and then give us some feedback, and maybe we'll invite them to a Blue Ribbon Committee meeting and they can tell us what's important to them. The pop-up event at the farmers market was from 9 to 12. Here's a few pictures from the event. It was well attended. We had approximately 50 interactions with local residents. They gave us feedback on the core values. We had a station where they could write down I love Temecula because. And it was a good event. We got a lot of good feedback, and we're going to be reporting in more detail to the Blue Ribbon Committee on that event and the kind of feedback we got. But it was well attended, and we're probably going to do. We had planned to do 2 or 3. I think we're going to end up doing more than that, just because of the feedback. And that concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions. Would like to get any comments, suggestions on the process. I have been getting feedback on groups to reach out to. So if you have any recommendations there, networking. And just wanted to say that we're trying to get as much community involvement as possible. But if you see social media, if you can share that with people, if you can promote the website, promote the questionnaire, that's all extremely helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Very, very good presentation. Questions? I'll start on my left here. Questions of Mr. Peters?
Not a question, but maybe another suggestion. With all the outreach there, what I didn't see is maybe a link or something on the city app. I see that app getting more and more used and downloaded, and I'm just wondering if there might be an opportunity to put an area to participate or sign up for newsletters, or just obviously not directly involved with the master plan, but maybe there's an avenue there that can link them with that information.
It's a good suggestion. That's the second. I heard it last night, and I'm hearing it again tonight, so I think we can do that. The city app has that wheel, and maybe we'll become one of the main buttons on there. Yeah, thank you.
I did have a quick question. I may have missed it, but on the list of representatives, and specifically you mentioned the high school issue, is there a senior group represented on, or are there just people there that represent the senior community? And I bring this up because we keep saying social media, social media. The senior community probably is the least aware of social media, and I don't say that in a negative way at all, but I think that's a huge part of our population, and they're not being reached through Facebook or TikTok or whatever all these things are. I'm guilty of that myself, obviously. But I'm just curious, is there a representative of the senior community?
Specifically on the BRC, I'm not sure if we have a senior rep, but I do know we're working with TCSD, and we're going to go to the senior center. Not everyone has access to social media, as you mentioned, or computers, so we're going to do hard copy surveys at the senior center. We're going to visit specific senior centers throughout, or senior housing developments throughout the city, and try to engage them that way. But Luke, maybe do we have a senior representative?
Well, there's no one specifically on there representing the senior community, but there are many individuals that are seniors. And that's what we tried to do. Is it possible to get one person from every single walk of life? It's just impossible. So there are many that cover, multiple points of interest. And so there are, and as Lene can attest, there are members of the senior community there, and their voices are heard through this process.
Great. That's what I wanted to hear, is that there is some representation there for that segment of our population. It's a big part, and I doubt that they participate too much in a lot of this stuff. But I'll just bring that up, and it's been registered, so that's great. For those that don't know, Commissioner Turley Trejo is on that Blue Ribbon Committee, and I've asked her to share her thoughts since we're talking about it.
Yeah, I can just one other question. You mentioned the high school project kind of thing, which I think is really interesting. Has there been any thought to outreach to like the Temecula campus of Mount San Jacinto or any of the other colleges that we have here? I know they may not particularly be residents, and maybe that's why they're not, have been considered, but for the project idea and reaching, next level of, leadership and opportunities within the community, there might be something there as well.
So we have representation from MSJC, Jeremy Brown. I can't remember his exact title, but Luke, do you know what his title is? VP of Instruction.
Okay.
We'll be pushing information out to him, and he'll be sharing that at the local campus. Another good suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just had a couple comments on or maybe a couple of suggestions too. So I loved what you said about a transparent process. Like, I think that's really crucial for our community, period, especially now how our community is. We just really need to have that transparent process. Love the high school student idea of a project. Like, I think that really engages them instead of just going in and asking them certain things, actually having them do a project that they need to, and that gives them some ownership in the community, which I think is really a great idea. The pop-ups, like, I wish I could have been there Saturday. I think that's a good way of, I think kind of what they said last night a little bit too in the Ready Commission meeting was getting people in their natural, they're just going to tell you what they think and what they feel. And so I do really like the pop-up idea. One thing, and there were a lot of suggestions last night, but one thing I know Randy said about that a newsletter is sent out. So with the senior community, I think that newsletter is really important to make sure that the QLMP is highlighted in there, if you can, so that they, notice that maybe over and above other things. Because I think the mail, I know I'm not a senior, but I sure love mail. Like, I still love mail. And I read mail. So I do the social media too, but so I think that's an important component. And that we can help promote on social media too, like that. I think people look at us as representing, right, the city. And so I think that's a really good suggestion that we can do as commissioners in helping that. And then one thing that I wanted to suggest, and last night this was talked about a little bit, is the Interfaith Council and getting the word out to the Interfaith Council, and just understanding that the Interfaith Council does not include all churches at all. It's actually a very small representation of the churches in Temecula. We wish it was bigger. I've been on that council before, so finding a way to really reach out to the churches, I think, would be really important, and we'd get really good feedback from them. I think they're a very important part of the community. So just knowing that the Interfaith Council, even if you reach out to the Interfaith Council, you're not really reaching out to all of the churches. So just making sure.
That's good to know.
Yeah. But as far as my part on there, I've enjoyed it so far, and I wanted to say Matt has put so much work into this. I know, like major full-time. And isn't his voice so calming? Like, I just noticed that tonight. It's just so calming. It's like I could just listen to it. It's just really calming.
Luke said it puts him to sleep.
It could happen. But I think that's really important too. Like with a lot of suggestions you're going to be getting in different things, you're able to take things in a calm way. And I've made suggestions to Matt too, and there have already been changes made, like for this next meeting tomorrow night, with using our time more wisely at the meeting itself. So I think that's great, and I look forward to tomorrow night and reporting back to you all about tomorrow night and the core values that we discuss. One thing that I have felt really strongly about is that as we're going through this, that we look at things that are not only, that are prevention-minded too, right? Like, what can we do to prevent the things that we don't want to have happen in our community? I think that's a big deal instead of after the fact. And so, the two groups that I think have to be supported in our community are families and churches. And that's a big, huge way of preventing a lot of things if we support those two groups. And so that's something that I'm carrying forward. Hopefully you guys agree with that, because I'm representing you guys. So if you don't, let me know. But that's something I feel very strongly about, that we can move forward with as far as thinking about how can we prevent things and not just act on them after they happen. So anyway, if you have suggestions, give them to me and I'll share at the meetings anytime.
Thank you, Lene. And thank you for volunteering to serve on the committee and represent the commission. We appreciate your
Tomorrow
effort.
night is a 3-hour meeting, so if anybody wants to go.
We'll
But there's
expect a
another
two-
dinner.
There is, yes.
You will be limited to a 2-minute summary on that meeting, so. Adam?
Just a thought as you were sitting here talking about the churches specifically not being represented, but I'm wondering if it's a, for lack of a better term, press release or update for the quality of life that can be shared out. Like people from maybe the BRC can get to their church or their community groups that they're involved with, or to their HOA, because I'm sure all those groups have their own distribution lists and newsletters and ways that they communicate out. If there was this kind of staple piece that was already sent out, maybe that's something that committee could help get out, or maybe that's part of what's on the app or something that way. But where you're not trying to reach and go find. You call up a church or call up an organization and say, yeah, just go to the website and all the information's there. It's a lot more work to do than saying, here it is, and you can run this in your newsletter or put this on your website. Yeah. Just an idea.
Yeah, I think the outreach needs to be sustained and consistent. We've done a press release. In today's day and age, there's so much information out there, it's hard to get it out there. So just consistently sharing the information, the branding is important, so they see that consistently. The suggestion for the mailing, I already went to the city manager's office. There's a newsletter planned for May. That's kind of late. Maybe we'll do a special mailing first quarter of '22. So there's a lot in the works. We're keeping track. So at the end, we can explain everything we've done. Hopefully we don't miss anyone, but we want to try to reach everyone.
Well, I think also, I think what's hard, like on your end, like on the city's end, is you guys are all in the know of it, right? I'm kind of in the know of it because I'm on the committee. But if you're not, you don't really know, and you're not really keyed into it. And so I think word of mouth is also a really great way, to pass that on. Kind of like what you're saying as a blue ribbon committee, that the groups that we know, that we interact with a lot, we need to be sharing that. That's going to be more important to those groups than getting something in the mail or seeing something on social media, because they know us, they can put a face to it. And so I think that's the tricky part, from the city of, yes, you're doing all these things, and you're like, what do you mean you haven't heard about it? We're doing all these things, right? But if people aren't keyed into it or focused on it, they have so many things going on in their lives, it's not, Temecula's a great city. It's just going to keep being a great city, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't just happen. We have to make it happen. And so I think as individuals,
grassroots,
we have to share, what's happening.
Thank you very much. Press releases, those are ancient, aren't they? I mean, you can't buy a paper in town anywhere, so.
Yeah, it is kind of, but we're here, and we need to do everything.
Yeah, I know, your job is a lot harder than it was when there was focused media, but yeah, I mean, there's so fragmented, the population's so fragmented on how they get information now that I sympathize. You're going to have a hard time reaching everybody, and those are great points you brought up, Commissioner Turley-Trejo. I appreciate that. Thank you for the update, and we'll continue to look forward to updates as your process moves on. And for the rest of the commission, she is the representative for the Planning Commission, so I don't think it would be inappropriate for you to direct any thoughts or comments directly to her for transmission to their meetings. So, all right, very good, thank you, and we'll move on to our public hearing for the night. Any person may submit written comments to the Planning Commission before a public hearing, or may appear and be heard in support of or in opposition to the approval of the project at the time of the hearing. If you challenge any of the project in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing, or in written correspondence delivered to the Commission Secretary at or prior to the public hearing. Any person dissatisfied with a decision of the Planning Commission may file an appeal of the Commission's decision. Said appeal must be filed within 15 calendar days after service of written notice of the decision. The appeal must be filed on the appropriate Community Development Department form and be accompanied by the appropriate filing fee. All Our item number 4 tonight is planning application number PA 21-0793, a development plan for an approximately 5,708 square foot restaurant with outdoor patio dining, and PA 21-0823, a conditional use permit to allow for a California Alcoholic Beverage Control, ABC, Type 47 on-sale general eating place license located at 29363 Rancho California Road. And we will be having a staff presentation by Mr. Scott Cooper, I believe. And we're going to be handling both of these at once. Very good.
Correct.
Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson and Planning Commissioners. As you stated, this is planning application number 21-0793 and 0823 for Longhorn Steakhouse. As you previously stated, it is a development plan for the construction of an approximately 5,708 square foot restaurant, as well as a conditional use permit for a Type 47 ABC on-sale general eating place license. Project location is shown here in red, which is at 29363 Rancho California Road, which is the former Marie Callender site that was recently been demoed within the last year. So the project is located within the Rancho Highlands specific plan, and the project does contain 107 parking spaces. There are 58 spaces that are required per the development code, so they're well above the code requirements. There's outdoor patio dining and a corner architectural feature, which we'll get into here in a minute. This is the site plan. You have the ingress and the egress in the bottom corner. It's through a shared existing driveway with Embassy Suites. Obviously, the large restaurant building here in purple, the outdoor patio dining area, the bike racks, and the corner feature. So a little bit of information on the corner feature. This is what it will look like if you were going through the intersection of Rancho California and Inez. So it does include signage on the street side, which you can see here. And then on the opposite side, there's seating in forms of benches for waiting customers. There's some enhanced paving in that area. And then there'll be a fire feature up above, which you'll be able to see through if you're in the intersection. So kind of like how BJ's has those fire features that are on the side of the entrance, similar. They're still working on exactly what that's going to look like. The elevations, this would be the view from Inez, which is the main entrance to the restaurant, and then the view from Rancho California Road. What we were able to do with this project, as we were able to do with a lot of national chains, so there's one existing restaurant in Rancho Cucamonga. It's the only other one in California. It's big in Arizona and Texas, but as soon as the pre-app came in for this, staff started doing research on what a bunch of the other restaurants look like. Some look really good, some look not good at all. So we were able to take the best elements of the good ones and put them all together because it's such a prominent corner in our city. We really wanted it to look good. We don't get as much say on the colors when it's corporate colors, but when it's the architecture, we can really get the materials and what we want. In terms of the renderings, again, this would be the entrance. And then if you were traveling east on Rancho California Road, that'd be the corner of the building. So as also stated, there is a conditional use permit. It's the Type 47 for on-sale general for an eating place. The hours of operation are 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. And the ABC will process the public convenience or necessity if it is required. And of course, as we do with alcohol permits, additional conditions have been added. For a full menu is required at all hours that alcohol is served, and that the termination of alcohol sales shall be no less than 1/2 hour prior to closing. Landscaping, again, the site plan showing the landscaping. The total landscaping on the project side is just under 22%. 20% is the requirement in the zoning district, so they meet that requirement, and it includes desert willow, smoke tree, deer grass, and blue fescue. Before we get to the environmental, there was one public comment letter received. It was placed on the dais for your reading leisure, if you care to. In terms of environmental, it is categorically exempt from CEQA, and Section 15332, a Class 32 for infill development projects. And with that, staff does recommend the Planning Commission approve PA 210793 and PA 210823, subject to the conditions of approval. Conditions of approval were provided to the applicant. The applicant had no questions on the conditions, and the applicant is here as well.
Thank you, Scott. Questions of staff before we open the public hearing?
Just two questions. How does this building compare in size with the Marie Callender's building?
Smaller.
Smaller?
Marie Callender's was about just over 8,000 square feet, which is back when it was built, was kind of the standard size of restaurants. You don't see restaurants anywhere near that size anymore, so the footprint is smaller.
And then was there ever consideration for an entrance off of Inez rather than coming up Highland in to get actually into the parking lot?
For, by car, too close to the intersection existing, and there's already the existing entrance that they share with
On there,
Embassy
yeah.
Suites, so that's where it was.
Okay, thank you.
Can you go back to the floor plan thing of it? Okay, so right now, they have a little restaurant there. So where is this, I went to go see it. Where is this as opposed to that, where the hotel is?
Let's go to the aerial. So the site in red right now is completely demoed.
Oh, okay,
So where you see this building right here
That's
is
where it's-
exactly where the building will be.
okay, all right, got it. I was a little confused. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, so, question, so then, as far as this letter that came, what, with those concerns, can you respond to any of that, or not yet? Because we're doing questions, I guess.
We can give you a brief response if you'd like, if this is the appropriate time to touch on that.
Sure, I think maybe let's wait until we have all the public comments, and if you want to respond at the end to any other public comments we need to respond to.
So basically, so this restaurant is in the same area that Marie Callender's was? Okay, all right, and a little bit smaller, obviously, okay.
Correct. I talked with the owner of the property. Marie Callender sat vacant for a very long
Yes.
time. They were hoping to get a tenant to come and take over, but like we said, you don't get that big of restaurants anymore. As soon as they knocked that restaurant down and kind of rough graded the site, instantly they got people coming into the city, coming to them. We talked to stuff that we didn't really want there, like a car wash, a U-Haul self-storage facility. We talked to another hotel, like right away, as soon as the building got knocked down. So Longhorn came in, did the pre-app, and they've just been the applicant since then.
Okay, interesting. Okay, after we get all the information, then I just have a question on this letter too.
Okay. Questions on
Great,
this side?
and thanks for the, yay, makes me so happy.
Yeah, especially on this one, because that kind of pinkish salmon color on here is much different
Yeah.
than on the board.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that, but I don't need to now, which is such an awesome thing for everybody involved.
Questions? Are you going to compliment Mr. Cooper on his tone of voice, too? Okay. Very good.
Matt, can you just tutor him just a little bit, maybe?
I will now open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers on the public hearing?
We have none?
Okay, great. Why don't you come up and give us a presentation?
Mr. Chair, members of Planning Commission, members of staff, good evening. My name is Nina Ray with RSI Group. I'm representing Longhorn Steakhouse and Darden Restaurants, Inc., who are the owners of one of the concepts that's Longhorn, and they have other concepts all over the country, Olive Garden and many more. I would like to thank Mr. Scott Cooper for staying with us, working with us through pre-app, to where we are today. We don't have any concerns about any of the conditions of approval. We agree with all the conditions. We are already in plan check. Would like to get our permits and get under construction. So I'm here to answer any questions you guys may have.
Great. Do we have any questions of the applicant? We'll stop down here, start on Mr. Cagle.
Is the restaurant corporate-owned or is it a franchise?
Corporate,
Corporate? Okay.
yes.
I just want to say that I think you probably picked the best location in the city of Temecula. So,
Thank you.
Questions of that? Very good, thank you.
Thanks.
And with that, we do,
Does
Do we
anyone
have-
want?
Yeah, there's someone else. Did you have a public comment as well? Now would be the time to approach.
Good evening.
hi.
I'm Sophie Rosado. My address for the record is 43094 Avenida Amistad, Temecula, California, 92592. I live in the Bella Vista community, which is directly next to where the building is being constructed. I'm for the project. My only concern is traffic. Marie Callender was there. There wasn't an issue with that. I think the bigger issue is now with the project that's going across the street. With the 270 units that's being built across the street, more restaurants, the retails, what's gonna happen with the project having, I want Longhorn there. I think the residents, it's within walking distance. I don't have to get into my car to go eat. It's when the new project is completed, which I know the city really didn't have much say in that project. But that's just my concern for the record, is that traffic on Juanez, what's going to happen. But I'm for Longhorn, so
Okay,
just for the record.
thank you.
Once again, on record, Nina Ray, I'm the applicant for the project. As she mentioned, her concerns about traffic, we do understand that it is the busiest intersection in town. That's why we want to be here. And it's not what the concept is, it's based on restaurants. So being the previous restaurant was almost 8,000 square feet. And whether they were not as successful as maybe Longhorn would be, that's a good problem to have for us. But as far as traffic is concerned, we are almost 3,000 square foot less. So if you look at the trip generations for restaurants, based on the square footage, actually our trip generations would probably be less than what the previous tenant was. I'm not a traffic engineer, but have done this many years, and that's why I'm going on record. We're not changing any of the driveway entrances, not putting anything on Rancho California Road, neither on Yanez Road, understanding that, hey, we don't want to impact with cars getting into and cause any traffic issues. That's the reason we have maintained the driveway entrance in from the side road, which is Rancho Road. So that's what I'm here to respond to her concerns.
Very good, thank you. Any other speakers? Did you want to address the written comment?
Yeah.
We can do that, and also our senior civil engineer can address the traffic on Inez.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So,
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. So thank you very much for your comments. So as far as the project across the street, the Rancho Highlands project, and we did look at the Texas Longhorn, as the applicant mentioned, it is a smaller trip generation that is going to occur. But as for the Rancho Highlands project, there's going to be a Yanez widening in that location. So they are on the hook for doing their frontage improvements. So that should help quite a bit for alleviating some of that traffic there, and especially the backup in there. And then I wanted to let you know about another project that we have. We received a federal grant. It's called an HSIP. It's a Highway Safety Improvement Program grant through our traffic department. They went after it. So we were awarded, what we're able to do is tie in through fiber optic all the signals all throughout the Rancho California corridor. And I think that's something that is going to truly improve, kind of how that intersection functions. So together with those two projects, I think you'll see an improvement to traffic. We're still a growing city, though. We'll continue to work on these things. However, we are working on those two big projects right now for you.
Okay.
Yes, sure, Commissioner Hagel.
A lot of the traffic on Inez, particularly the last year or two, at 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whatever, is being caused by backups on the freeway. And people get off and come up Inez. And I don't live very far from there, so I'm sitting in that fairly often. French Valley Parkway and all the connectors, all the problem is going through Temecula on the freeway. And the city is doing something that very few cities in the United States has ever done, which is to build freeway. And so we've gotten some very substantial grants, and we're well into the process. I guess, how long has that been going on? 10 years now that we've been planning this. And I think once that freeway is eased up quite a bit, a lot of that traffic within the city, and particularly Inez Road, will start to go away and be a lot easier. And you couple that with better traffic signaling, and sometimes the frustration of going through red light after red light after red light when you know you're on the main road, that should be eased up, and we'll get a lot more greens as we go along. And if you're going to wait, you're going to be waiting on the side roads, not the thoroughfare that you're going through. And I think we'll see that eased up quite a bit. So we're doing everything we can.
Mr. Cooper.
Okay, so in terms of the letter, in regards to building a steakhouse next to a steakhouse, you see this all the time out on social media. Why is a gas station going across from a gas station, or a Starbucks across the street from a Starbucks? City doesn't have any say over the type of restaurant that comes in. Restaurants and allowed use there, like I said. So it was a U-Haul self-storage facility, so car wash wasn't allowed, but you get the idea. We don't control the type of actual use that the restaurant is going to serve. In terms of the parking, in the presentation, the parking lot's twice as big as the city would require. 107 versus 58 spaces. It's actually more spaces than when Marie Callender's was there, because Marie Callender's had a bigger footprint. Where are they going to park? They're going to park in the parking lot. Major intersection, yes, it's a major intersection. There's going to be traffic. As Nina stated, as I stated, it's a 3,000 square foot less restaurant using an existing ingress and egress that was previously used by the previous tenant.
Thank you very much. That should address those concerns.
Yeah, thank you for that.
All right, do we have anybody else
I
left
also
for
wanted
public
to say
hearing?
something to the applicant, that I appreciate the fact that you're closing at 11 p.m. I think that's a beautiful thing. I just want to say, especially for considering a type 47. So I think that's very responsible. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? I will close the public hearing then. And do we have any discussion and a possible motion?
Marie Callender's been there a while, and when it was there, it was struggling, as I recall. It had some problems that hopefully you won't encounter because of some of the changes that have gone on in the city and the traffic. But I just want to say there's nothing that fixes an empty lot look than a good-looking restaurant. And I can't imagine a trailer storage or a gas station on that corner. And it's not going to happen as long as I'm up here. And I highly recommend the staff's recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Silicio. Any other discussion?
Is there something? No. Yeah, I think it all looks good, like the colors and everything for the corner. It kind of fits the Texas Longhorn theme. I am personally from Texas, so I would know this, but anyway, I think it looks good, and I appreciate the fact that we didn't even have to vote on a gas station or a U-Haul thing, that the city, our city staff, our planning staff looks out for us that way. So I think the project looks really good, and we need something right there. And Marie Callender's, when we moved here, was cool. So it was a great little place to go, but that kind of ended. So anyway.
Very good. Anyone willing to move a motion?
Go ahead if you want.
I'm just going to move staff's recommendation.
John,
Motion made by Commissioner Telesio,
and I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Turley Trejo. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I believe that's a 5-0 unanimous vote. Congratulations. We look forward to your restaurant, and thank you for choosing Temecula. All right.
No, I know that, but Longhorn is Texas. The Texas Longhorns.
Don't dig the hole any deeper.
Hello?
Thank you. Good night. Okay. Just a point of clarification, Mr. Moreno. The statement was made that that's our busiest intersection. Is it busier than Winchester and Inez?
No, the Winchester one is our busiest. That's rated also one of the worst intersections in California.
World, yeah.
Yeah, so we're working on that one. The second grant we have, we'll work on that one. Yeah, the Winchester Yanez is the busiest.
Yeah. Okay, very good. With that, we'll move to commissioner reports. I'll start again on my left. Any commissioner reports, Commissioner? None. Yes, Commissioner Turley Trejo.
So I had the opportunity to go to the Poesca Mountain Day celebration on Monday, and I haven't been to that before. It was really, if you get a chance to watch that, and Bob was there too, if you get a chance to watch that documentary, it is incredible, and it just makes you appreciate living here and what people have done to stand up for us as a community. So I was really grateful to be there, and I remember all of that, of course, and probably wish I had been more, like holding the signs and had my picture up there, because I would have. I don't know why. I was probably in the middle of raising people. But anyway, that was an amazing, and I'm glad that it's an annual thing. I think that's pretty incredible for Temecula to do that. The other comment I had is I went to the Ready Commission meeting last night, and if you haven't been to one, you ought to go. Just see what it's about. I think that's important for us to be aware of other commissions and what they're discussing, and that's all I got.
Just a quick question on last night's meeting. How many were in attendance in the public?
Oh, just a handful of people, honestly.
More than ours?
Yeah, more than ours, but that's not saying much.
Okay.
I mean, what, maybe 5 or 10 people at the most. Yeah. But.
Great. Okay. I don't have any report tonight, so I'm not aware of any commission subcommittee reports. Luke, did we have any?
Yeah, we just had.
Okay, great. Bob?
Yeah, we just before, we had a meeting on the municipal code, and it's all about restaurants, it's basically looking at a new municipal code related to entertainment that impacts restaurants, taverns, bars, that whole eating concept, entertainment concept, and alcohol concept, and trying to bring a little bit more order to places like Old Town and other areas where we have had issues. And this whole CUP process, which is very cumbersome for the city and very difficult to get rid of a CUP once you've approved it, should a business not follow it or have complaints or play games with it, or whatever they may do that creates issues for the city. So we will, in the future, I think probably within the next couple of months, have something come before the committee or before the commission related to this. It will be going to a subcommittee of City Council next month. But I will say they have had a huge challenge to write this and to think through every single detail of trying to be fair to everybody, not punish those that have been following the rules, and at the same time try to get rid of some of the problem and help our police department out as well. So,
Great. That
I am
sounds,
grateful that's happening. So yeah, keep us posted for sure. That's awesome.
So I don't know, Adam, if you have anything else to add?
I think you covered it pretty well there. You know, I don't think there's anything in there with the intent to make it more challenging for other people, but there's just an easier enforcement process for, you know, for those bad actors that are out there, you know, and trying to keep a better policy in place. That's kind of the word I was using quite a bit earlier. Policy's black and white. It is what it is. There's no room for interpretation or error or favoritism. And I think what we've got moving forward, we had a couple of comments and a couple other points of view to maybe review before it goes before the subcommittee of the council. But I think it'll be a really nice application process to offer for the businesses in the future.
fantastic. Good work. Okay, Community Development Director.
Yeah, so I have to apologize. I usually like to prepare something, but today has been a day. So I apologize for that. I have no really fabulous update for you. But I will say to Commissioner Linne's comment before, and this goes out to the staff. I have to give them all the kudos here. Without confirming anything, there were and have been many proposed projects that you never see. And we try to bring you the best of the best. And so we're, just so you know that that's happening, you know, we have rules we have to follow, and we have limitations on what we can and can't, you know, stop or slow up, and we never try to do that. But we try to give applicants realistic expectations for what the city expects and wants, and, you know, a lot of times, you know, they take that advice and change plans or move to another location or whatever it is. So I just wanted to recognize staff for that, because they have a really good bead on what you like, what the community needs, what the council wants to see, and they're working with applicants really closely to get that for you. So when something comes here and we're giving it our approval, just know that there's been a lot that's
Like
gone
the
into
duck under
that.
the water.
Yeah, and probably many things that came before it that did make the cut.
Right.
So just want to give Scott tonight, you know, that was one of those projects. You know, we had I think we had a gas station at one point that wanted to go there, and again, I'll have to say for the record, we can't stop things we can't stop, but because I got the attorney right here, she's looking at me, gotta make sure I get that on the record. But you know, negotiating, working with them is a big part of what happens, regardless of what's allowed by right. So big shout out to Scott and the rest of the team for that.
Well, I think also, Luke, like, you go to other cities, and it's just so apparent, honestly, how Temecula's been planned, like really thought through instead of just whatever. And I won't mention specific cities, but I'm just saying that it's just, you don't really appreciate it until you go to another city and you go, oh, like, we don't have that in Temecula. We would never have that in Temecula. So we kind of, so I personally really appreciate that. I did have a question. Are we still going to try to do kind of a field trip thing, maybe the beginning of the year? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, COVID has thrown a wrench into a lot of that.
Right.
And then there was we were looking forward to doing it probably late September, early October. Then there was the Delta surge and everything. So, but we definitely want to do that. That's where we get into those conversations. I remember the last time we went over to the Les Schwab Tire Center, and from the outside, I mean, if you don't really know that's a tire center, you don't go around and see the tires. I mean, it just looks like a really nice building. And we say, that's a tire store, okay? It's like, you wouldn't really, you know, expect that level of detail on a tire store. So, but we will do that. There's a lot of projects to go look at, a lot of things that you've approved that have been completed. You know, I don't know if you're like me, but you know, you live on one side of town, you don't always get to the other side of town. I mean, it kind of takes a while to get to the other side of town, especially if you're going through Winchester intersection. So yeah, no, absolutely looking forward to doing that. And we're actually going to try to invite other commissioners from other boards and commissions to come along with us. So yeah, we're going to do that. And next week's Thanksgiving, so have a happy Thanksgiving with all your families. It'll be a good time off for everybody.
What is, do you have an idea on our December meetings? Will we be meeting twice, do you think?
I would doubt we're going to meet twice.
Okay.
Let me just look at this real quick, just to get my...
And while you're doing that, I want to say something too regarding the staff. up here on the commission, we don't get we're not into the details, into the weeds like you guys are on everything. And in fact, we don't hear about things on purpose. And I, in my previous life as a worker, had to work with a lot of development departments in communities across Southern California, including Coachella Valley, Riverside, Orange County, and LA County. And there are some great cities to work with when it comes to projects and how they deal with it. And there are not so great cities that deal with that. And it all goes back to the top. Leadership and managers and directors, community development directors, are responsible for that. So I know you guys all try hard. Everybody is great there. And from a professional standpoint, I have rarely worked with staff that are as good and as professional and thorough as this staff is in Temecula. And I don't say that just because I'm a commissioner, but I can speak from experience on that. And I will tell Luke in confidence who those cities were that I don't have such a high opinion of, but a lot of them. And, you know, even the city of Riverside's a big city. Dealing with their planning department is interesting. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
Well,
So,
I just want to say thank you. Those words go a long way. We really appreciate it.
and please share that with the entire staff, because I'm sure my fellow commissioners feel the same way from the work they've seen out of the crew here. So
Certainly. Thank you.
you're welcome. And Public Works, great department also, although we don't work quite as well or as much with you as we do the others, Ron. So go, you're up.
You bet. A couple items very quickly. Here in Old Town, the sediment removal is complete. So that is done, and now Flood Control and Army Corps will be remapping that so that all these businesses can be out of the floodplain. So we get a lot of calls from businesses out here. They're all technically out today, but it must be remapped by FEMA first before they can be alleviated of their flood insurance. So that is complete. And then secondly, down at Friendship Park on the south side of town, we've begun the channel mitigation. So if you see some equipment down there and anybody asks you about it, that's just part of our environmental mitigation. So that's ongoing right now at Friendship Park. And then on Temecula Parkway, the Wabash signal, that work continues. We probably, due to the poles being on back order like everything else, that probably is delayed a little bit towards mid-January, end of January. So there's still going to be some intermittent closures, flip-flopping of lanes. So if you get any questions about that, we're continuing to do that as well. So that's what I have for you tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moreno. Appreciate it. And as I said, the Public Works Department does a great job, too.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Hagan.
With the silt being removed and moved up to the lot on Cherry Street, does that make that lot less prone to flooding and a better, I think it's parkland zoned?
That parcel is owned by Riverside County Flood. So it's part of their overall plan, master plan, to be a detention basin.
Okay.
In the future, however, at this time, we have an application in that we're hoping to get a grant to be able to make that into a sports park.
That's what I thought.
So if soccer fields, baseball fields and such, and of course, the sediment is just helping that situation because that can be leveled off. So that was strategically done.
Yeah, I've been asked if that, if that will help get that park, there.
Waiting to hear if we won the grant.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yes, the meetings. So the meetings are the 1st and the 15th. That's what they're scheduled for. So I think unless you all tell us that you have some vacations, if we need to have those meetings, it should be okay. It's a week before Christmas is our second meeting.
So
Unless something changes, of course.
So I will be gone on the 1st, unfortunately. So just know that when I'm gone, my day-to-day work travel is, like everything else, has taken the last 2 years and tried to throw it in the last 2 months of the year, 3 months of the year, and get everything in. But packets are read, videos are reviewed, so nothing's missed on my part.
We appreciate your energy level, Adam. Absolutely. Okay, and with that, I think that's it. Got every last comment in. So with that, I will adjourn our meeting until our next regularly scheduled meeting of Wednesday, December 1st, 2021 at 6 o'clock here at City Council Chambers. And with that, we stand adjourned.